We will go on to our second exploration just because I am conscious of the time as well. And this is about learning to befriend your inner critic. So you might want to have a piece of paper and a pen with you to the side. If you've got the guidebook, and this is something that you can come back to later if you haven't printed it off or can't. But there is a page in the guidebook about the inner critic, and that is a space for you to doodle and draw and get to know it. So we will be bringing that in at the end of the exploration. If you've got coloured pens and pencils, you might want to use those. But if you don't, that's fine. A normal pen or pencil is fine. So get yourself into a comfortable position. You can choose here whether you want to lie down, whether you would need to stand or move around. There's no rigid structure. As we're going through this practice, if you need to move, move. If you need to get up and walk around, you can. This is really about responding to your body and your needs. So take a couple of moments to get settled, choosing initially whether you need to lie down, whether you want to get really comfortable. You can have some pillows, blankets here, and start with a little bit of orienting and grounding. So as you settle in from the position you've chosen, you can let your eyes drift around the room. You can notice the support underneath you and perhaps allowing your body to feel just a little bit heavier. What would feel really supportive and really stable here? So whenever we do these practices, these explorations, making sure that we have a source of support. So if you have a crystal or something with you, you can hold it in your hand, you can place it on a part of your body that resonates. And you can do that with anything else that you might have, if you have a favorite teddy. This can be, especially with the inner critic, we want as much comfort as we can muster because it might feel challenging. So starting with that sense of stability, orienting. Oh, we have a teddy. A teddy has entered the room. I'm glad I said that. So bringing in that sense of stability and support that we did at the start of the session. When we were taking time to arrive, you chose whether it was orienting, whether it was a little bit of movement. I really do encourage noticing the support underneath your body and around your body. So if you're hugging your teddy, your pillow, if you've got a blanket, getting a sense for the comfort or even the neutrality. And you don't need to do anything except settle in. And checking in, do you feel safe enough? Do you feel resourced enough to acknowledge your inner critic today? So whenever we're doing work with our inner parts, especially if they are very loud, it's always good to get their permission. Get your permission. Do I feel resourced enough? Do I need to do something else? Do I need to pause the recording and come back after I've resourced a little bit more? If you feel that yes in your body, yes, I feel ready, then allowing yourself to get a little settled, a little more settled. And if not, then what do you need to do to support yourself or resource yourself? What feels comfortable? What feels neutral? You might start to close your eyes or lower your gaze, but at any point you can come back to opening your eyes and orienting to the space. You have the option of hugging your teddy just a little closer, or maybe feeling the comfort of the blanket. Or if you haven't chosen to hug anything, you could bring one hand to the forehead and one hand to the back of the neck once again, like we did at the start. Noticing the temperature of your hands, the support, maybe a gentle squeeze at the back of the neck, just a little massage. Again, really good for the vagus nerve. Down the sides of the neck. And I invite you to take a slow breath in through your nose, fill up the belly. Let it out with a sigh. And if you can, maybe making a little sound, a HA sound. Breathing in. Sighing the breath out. And as you do, allowing your body to feel just a little heavier. If you've got the hand on the forehead, bringing your hand to your heart. Again, taking a breath in. Letting it out with a sigh. Hand on the back of the neck comes down to the belly. One more deep breath in. Long breath out. Relaxing your stomach, settling in, noticing the support underneath you. And you might naturally come back to a sighing breath every now and then, but you can just allow your breath to be natural. Again, as we settle in, noticing the support beneath you and the support around you. Acknowledging that you are in a safe enough space and that you are in control. You are in control of this practice. You can stop it at any point. And in your mind, I invite you to picture or sense that you are somewhere where you feel completely relaxed and at ease with yourself. And that could be the room that you are in, or it could be outside, your favorite park, under a tree. It could be a park bench. It could be your sofa. But imagining that you are somewhere where you feel completely relaxed and at ease within yourself. And this is somewhere where we can invite the inner critic to join us. So we are allowing them into our space. This is your space. You are content here, relaxed here, and again, you are in control of this space and this situation. So as best you can, picturing, visualizing that space. And when you feel ready, inviting your inner critic to join you. And sensing them as a separate entity to you. So they are not you, they are a part of you. And you are allowing them to come into the space, perhaps allowing them to sit next to you on the park bench or at the end of your bed. Keeping a little distance between you both. And start to sense their presence. How do they appear to you? Are they a particular color or shape? Are they a human figure? What age are they? And you can't get this practice wrong. So, however they are showing up right now, even if you're struggling to picture them, this is absolutely normal. It's all part of the process. And as you sense their presence, tuning into your bodily sensations, and perhaps observing within yourself if anything happens as your inner critic joins you. Are there any areas of tension, discomfort? Or perhaps there's a sense of openness and curiosity. The fact that you are in a space where you are inviting them in, they're not just bashing down the door. Perhaps noticing if there are any particular emotions or feelings present here. Bringing in as much curiosity and kindness as you can. And remembering to stay connected to the support underneath you. So notice if you have started to tense or lift yourself away from the support, and you can come back to allowing your body to feel heavy, to hugging your pillow or your teddy. Breathing slowly or bringing some movement in. And for these next few moments, allowing the inner critic to sit with you. And can you allow this experience to be here just as it is? And if your inner critic has already started, maybe saying hurtful things, shouting at you, it can sometimes be helpful to have a talking stick or a sign that says no shouting. Something that creates a boundary within this space for kindness and listening. Asking the inner critic, are you okay to speak with me today in a kind and compassionate way? Again, if they say no, perhaps now is not the right time for this particular practice. But if they say yes, then allowing them to get comfortable in the space with you. So not touching you, again, there is still that distance, but perhaps they soften into the park bench or the end of your bed. Let them relax in the space with you. And asking the inner critic, what are you protecting me from? And what will happen or might happen if you don't protect me? And giving voice to the sensations, giving voice to this inner part, and allowing it to let you know. And that might be a physical sensation, it might be a movement, there might be a thought, a word, there might be nothing at all, and that is still a message. And you can choose whatever they say. If they are saying words to you, you can speak it out loud or silently in your mind. Allow it to talk with you, allow it to express its fears, concerns, and needs. What are you protecting me from? And what might happen if you don't protect me? And if anything feels uncomfortable, painful, or too much, you can come back to sensing into your source of support around you, your teddy, your comfort. You can open your eyes. And just a reminder that nothing needs to happen here. So if nothing is happening, that is fine. And you can always take a few moments to oscillate between checking in with the inner critic and asking, and then oscillating back to the comfort and source of support. Sometimes this is known as pendulation, and it helps to grow our capacity to be with difficult emotions and difficult parts of ourselves by recognizing the safety in the moment, by moving from discomfort to safety. And as best you can, listening with empathy and compassion, and validating your inner critic's concerns. So you might say, I really hear you. I really acknowledge why you were trying to protect me. And checking back in with how your body responds. If there is a part of you that tenses, perhaps you can consciously allow it to soften. Perhaps there is a need for movement, instinctive movement. How could you reassure this overly protective part? Letting it know that nothing bad is going to happen. Letting it know that together you can support yourself through whatever comes up. Reminding it that some things are out of your control. How could you reassure this overly protective part? And finally, asking your inner critic what it needs from you. So, how can you work together? But is there anything that it needs from you? What would it need to be able to give you space, to allow you to move forward, to express yourself? Can you ask it if it's willing to experiment with you? Life is an experiment. Let's see what's possible together. Reminding it that nothing bad is going to happen. Is there something your inner critic needs you to do less of? So, for example, perhaps you spend a lot of time comparing yourself to other people, scrolling on social media. And that can quite often fuel the inner critic and their fears. Perhaps it needs you to do less of that. So we'll take a few more moments here in your mind, in that space that you've created, a space where you feel relaxed, at ease. Bringing your awareness to how your inner critic has shown up today. So whether they are an image, a shape, a color, what their quality is. Perhaps they're spiky. Perhaps they have shifted. Perhaps the form has shifted over the course of this practice. And I'll give you a few more moments here. Any final questions for your inner critic, or listening to what they need from you? Perhaps reassuring the part once again. And seeing if anything needs to happen. Nothing needs to happen, but anything can. Any final words, thoughts? Thank your inner critic for showing up today and talking with you. This is a practice you can come back to whenever you need to check in with them, and I do recommend that you come back to it and not leave them hanging. Again, experiment with it. Thank yourself for giving it permission to be here. Remembering there are no bad parts, but the inner critic can feel very challenging. But we are starting to befriend them. We are welcoming them in because they need a little support. So as we make our way to the end of this exploration. Now is an opportunity to scribble, draw, write down anything that came up. This is optional if you want to just spend the next few moments resting and integrating. That can also be very, very helpful. But that page in the guidebook invites you to draw out how your inner critic showed up today. So you can do that just on a piece of paper. And were there any colors that came up? Were there any shapes? This is a really great way of getting them down on paper. And if nothing came up, if you're like, that just didn't, nothing happened there, please don't worry, because that is really, really normal. Maybe there were just some words. Maybe there were some answers. What does your inner critic need from you? But again, if nothing came up today, come back to this practice, because it can really take time um, to get to know them and to listen to the felt sense. And we'll take about maybe about 2 minutes uh, up until, yeah, up until 1/4 past. So just a quick scribble. Again, you might come back later when you've got a bit of time to reflect on it. You can also write down if that felt challenging today. You can write down if it felt easy. Maybe you draw out your place where you felt relaxed and at ease. If there was a really clear image in your mind, you can doodle it out. You don't need to be an artist to do this. And what do you need now? So, off the back of that exploration, maybe you need some water, maybe you need to have another moment to move your body, stretch, shake it off, give yourself a hug.